This is Rebel Mom Boss, the podcast for scrappy, rebellious moms who are making things happen while raising their babies. My name is Robyn Flynn, a scrappy, rebellious mom myself, and the founder and managing director of Robyn Flynn Media. I'm also a mom to a beautiful toddler named Peyton. We do things a little bit differently here, so buckle up and welcome to the rebellion. Being a mom while starting your own business requires you to wear many different hats. This week, I wanted to talk about balancing motherhood and entrepreneurship with a fellow scrappy mom of 3, business energetics, wealth and manifestation coach, and a cardiovascular physician's assistant. Lynn Luu runs her own financial mindset coaching business called The Ambitious Rebel, and she joins me now. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the Rebellion. Super excited to have you here. I want to start by first getting you to sort of explain what it is to be a business energetic wealth and manifestation coach.
Sure. Well, I absolutely love learning and teaching about business energetics and just energy in general. And so, most people don't know, even when I was working in the medical field, but, we all have energy around us. We are created by energy. Everything is energy. And so really, being able to work with people to help them, find the root cause and of what's blocking their energy and blocking their alignment in their energetics is really like what is going to help them move forward in their life and their business. And so that's what I work on, is working on their subconscious mind and working on alignment of their energetics to really just manifest whatever it is they want in their life and business, but particularly business.
I love that because I find, especially with moms, we are standing in our own way a lot of the time. When I told people that I was starting my own business, they're like, well, how are you going to do that? Like, you have a child and, life is too busy. And I was like, but you wouldn't ask a man how he was going to do it, right? I feel like there's a lot of pressure put on women in particular. And then we have this voice in our head that tells us like, well, I can't do this. And then we don't try.
Yeah, I get that. Like, I think my IG account is called The Ambitious Rebel for a reason. I think growing up, especially from my parents are from Vietnam. There's like a heavy, cultural background and value, and it's different. It's very much so like you do what we say, don't ask for opinions. And that's it, right? And work hard. And so I think growing up, I always, never listened to what my parents said. I did whatever the heck I wanted. I got in trouble all the time. And I was known for that child to like be a rebel. Like I never listened. And it's like, there was like a lot of like, like Lynn, she never listens to her parents and she's always getting into trouble. And, like I felt a certain way being talked about that way growing up. Like I was kind of always in the back of my mind, but I always still did whatever I wanted. And till this day, like I thank myself for having that courage and standing in my ground, feeling that way. Because if it wasn't for that, I would be, in that social culture paradigm of like listening to what everyone is asking me to do and not having the courage and finding myself where I felt like, I could, listen to my heart and follow my dreams and not care what anybody thought about me, my mistakes. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I don't care about the little mistakes I did. I made 110 mistakes and I don't care. And so that is what led me to like finding my way, wanting to really shift out of like doing cardiac surgery. I loved it. And I still love it to this day and still do it. But like I do it twice a week because I love healing people. But, like I don't agree with, every like surgeons telling me what to do. And there's only one way to do it. And things need to be a certain way. There's like a lot of political aspect of that. And, I really want to empower myself and my children particularly to be able to stand in their power and have the space to listen to themselves, have the space to do what they think is right for them, but also like be able to create structure, healthy structure for them. And I think that's where it's hard, right? Like parenting is not easy. So I think like as a parent, I felt like, I felt like just like kind of like where's the balance between creating a good healthy structure for my children, but also showing them the way that like, listen, like, I created an Amazon business online. They were 6 7 years old. They helped me take, put the products in a box, tape it up, ship it out. Like they saw me do all of those things. Whatever they choose to do as an adult, whether it's go to medical school, not go to medical school, whatever they want to do, right? But I wanted to give them and show them there's more than just, regular college. If they want to go to college, that's great. But if they don't, that's okay too, as long as they, you know, feel like strong and empowered to like take the steps in entrepreneurship and know that I'll have their back with that. And that's how I feel like I'm leading the way for them, is by creating my business with on Instagram as the Ambitious Rebel, really helping them, see the power in that and learn from that.
I love that because I feel like a lot of the time, school, traditional schooling, public school is set up to create good little worker bees, right? We teach our
Exactly.
kids how to show up, not ask questions, do what they're told, sit in one place, and I can't stand that.
I
I,
know.
I I want my child to ask questions and to push back and to come up with her own way of doing things. Like to me, that is the kind of person I want to, put into
Yes.
the world. I feel like that makes
Yes.
the world a better place, but I know I have friends who are moms who disagree. And they're like, you're not setting your child up for success because the fact is you need to be able to do those things to succeed. And it's an interesting, we're all doing our best to raise our babies the best
Right.
way we know how. But yeah, I do think that the traditional model is to create these good little corporate worker bees, and I think it's really cool that you're doing things differently and setting that example for your children. What is their reaction? Like, is it just the normal to them, like, oh, mom's running a new business again? Like,
Yeah, I think so. Like my husband's more like the traditional goes to work, comes home. So they see that part of him. And that's fine and perfect. But they also see me going to work. And then when I'm not working at my cardiac surgery job, then they see me, coaching, they see me coaching, they see me learning. I actually have my daughter in out school and she's learning content creation. She's like, "What? Why do you want me to do?" I said, "Listen," I said, "I just want you to try it. I just want you to see what your thoughts are. You don't have to do anything with it if you don't want to, but I don't want you to think like this is the only option for you. Like I said, and there are so many people making bank and creating so much impact online. This is actually where it's heading. And the way, colleges right now, it's incredibly expensive. Um, there's a lot of change in that aspect right now, and I just want to open their minds up to a lot of options. We also like got rewarded a franchise.
wow.
Not this past December, but the December before that. But we got awarded with a really beautiful franchise that we thought would fit us completely. But last minute, I think I felt really pulled to continue with what I'm doing in my business as a coach. And I felt like there was less restriction there. Even with a franchise, there's a lot of like back end restriction and agreements and terms. And I think that that's where we felt stuck. And I was like, you know what? Like, I don't think this is fully where I want to head. My husband also felt the same way. I think he felt all those the legal documents as you're signing it. There's like, it's like literally 200 pages.
Yeah.
Um, and even though we paid the 60K, we backed out because we
Wow.
followed our gut. We followed our heart, we followed our gut, and it's okay to make mistakes. And, like I was telling my family about like, oh, this is what we want to do. And they completely supported us. And then there's got to be courage to be like, you know what? We pulled back out and that's okay. Right. It's not a failure. It's a decision that we made together because we wanted to be in alignment with what we wanted to do. And at that time, initially, I think the hype, the excitement made us feel aligned. What when we had a moment to really sit back, we felt like honestly it was under my husband that felt that first. But I listened to him and I completely agreed with him, and I'm glad we made that decision. And it's not a failure. It's just we completely learned what we needed to learn from that experience.
Wow. Good for you. That's crazy. That is, I think, what's at the heart of entrepreneurship is taking big risks, and they don't always pan out, right?
No.
I think people look at people and think, oh, you're an overnight success, but they don't see all the business ventures that were failures. Like one of my first business ventures was I started doing hot chocolate bombs while I was on maternity leave.
Ooh.
And they were super popular. And then I ended up taking on more orders than I could physically fulfill. And I had to like recruit friends to come help me make them. And, it was wild, but we try things and we take chances. And I do think that risk-taking mindset is necessary to be an entrepreneur. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And that's what I want to instill in my children.
Mm.
That's what I want to instill in my children, so hopefully, that's what they learn from me. And they get to, as they get older, they get to make their own choices, but I'm here to just, teach them different things and support them in different ways and teach them, again, it's super hard because it's like, you want to have enough structure so that they do follow what I say to a certain extent, right? And then there's sometimes they push back. And I'm like, do I go after them for pushing back on me because I'm their mom and I feel like sometimes they're just respecting me? But no, because like they have their own opinion and voice too. And if I were to make it a point to make it a problem, then it's like really teaching them to hush their mouths. And I don't want that.
How do you manage your time? Because, I run a business. I have one child. She's a toddler, so she's a handful. Husband, friends, family. It's a lot to balance. You've got 3 kids. You've got multiple, things on the go. How do you balance everything?
It's not easy. I definitely am into breath work, which I use all the time. I also do sound healing, which I'll have my daughter do for me once in a while. But I think I'm very, very lucky that I have a supportive family. My in-laws live with me, so they help me with the kids, number one. Number two, I am incredibly lucky that I do cardiac surgery twice a week. And so this is where the struggle was and where it took a lot of courage and trusting in myself was that when I do cardiac surgery, I make very good money doing that. I've been doing it since 2008. It's one of the higher paying jobs in the subspecialty in physician's assistant. And so I made a lot of money, but I had to really trust myself and be like, okay, I'm making a lot of money right now. But if my goal is to build this business, I need to cut back. And so initially it was very hard because I literally couldn't work a 24-hour shift and pay for this, like pay for this trip, work 24-hour shift and this will be, it's like meant to like, okay, work this one day, this could pay for this, work for this one day, it'll pay for that. Right. But like growing a long-term business and making sure it's going to be successful and trusting myself, that's where like the shift and the energetic shift is. Right. And so I was like, okay, if I truly believe that I'm capable of doing this and that long-term, this is going to be it's going to build me so much more financial freedom, impact that I want to create and time freedom, then I have to trust myself and let go of working extra here. And even though it was so hard because I could just work and make the money, I was like, no, I have to let go. I have to let go of the clocking in and clocking out to have that like instant gratification of the money and trust in myself that what I'm going to create in the future is going to be so much more and so much better and so much more and so much more in alignment. Because the reason why I did all this was because I didn't feel aligned to it from the beginning. But that's hard to do sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Like
yeah.
I can hear right from the way you're speaking that your mindset is a huge part of this. Like you really have your head in the right space. And I really do believe that is 90% of the challenge that people are dealing with is we just have these voices in our head telling us we can't do something, whether, we're hearing our parents or a teacher or, a friend
yes.
or ourselves, we have these voices in our head. So, how can you silence those voices or maybe not silence them, but hear what they're saying and compartmentalize it to move on and manifest a better life for yourself?
And then that comes to the work that I've learned and obsessed with is your subconscious mind and learning about how your actual subconscious mind works. And so basically, the way our mind works is like we're like a computer system, and we take in a lot of information, like 2.3 million bits at a time, but we only see a frame at a time, which is like 126 bits at a time. And when we absorb all that information, our computer system, our software is like deleting information, taking pictures and memories of information, and distorting information. So basically, like if we grew up, and I give an example of something similar, like, okay, so say if I, tried out for, when I was younger, I tried out for cheerleading. Everyone, I have a cousin that's in cheerleading. Everyone's in cheerleading. I tried out for cheerleading 3 times and I didn't get in, right? At that moment, you create a meaning behind your incident, or you create a meaning behind that event. And the meaning could be 2 things. It could be, okay, I didn't get in. I guess I just have to practice a little bit more. I'll try out next time. That's the one mindset you can have. Or the second mindset you can have is, oh my God, I tried out 3 times and I fucking failed. I failed. And the emotion that backed up that feeling when you did not get in, or when I didn't get in, emotions came up, right? Like it's a surge of energy of like your heart sinks, your stomach hurts, and you're disappointed in yourself. And now all of those emotions is imprinted in your nervous system and imprinted in your subconscious mind when you made that meaning, right? When we're first born, we are meaningless. We have a clean slate, in our environment, in the judgments that we make, the meaning that we create in our family, our friends, help us create our belief system. But our belief system is created by ourselves. So we get to actually change that belief system by rewiring our mindset. And so this is the work I do, is when you are able to rewire that story, then you're able to align your energy to what you actually want to manifest. So say, fast forward, 10 years from now, I got out of high school and I was like, I really want to become a doctor or a physician's assistant. Now, if I took on the belief that I was a failure, your mind and your body is meant to keep you in homeostasis, relaxation, protection, right? So when you do something big, you do something scary, that memory and that emotional memory will come up as your ego and be like, don't do it. The last time you did something this scary, guess what? You failed. And so that is something that you have to be aware of that will exist. So if you're not aware of that, you just find yourself in a place of like in a hold, right? In literally a chokehold. You want to do this consciously, but subconsciously your mind is telling you no. And then so how you show up is that you procrastinate. You are suddenly a perfectionist. You hold yourself back by these subconscious blocks that are limiting you. That is not even true. It's not true because you decided that.
You're giving me like a light bulb moment that like perfectionism is actually a fear of failure.
Yes,
It's
it is.
like you're holding your, because I've always been a perfectionist myself ever since I was a kid. Like every project, everything had to be absolutely perfect before I handed it in. And that was probably my own fear of failing.
Yeah, yeah. And
You
it's
just
not
like
just like,
unlocked something in my brain. This is crazy.
it's called a breakthrough.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, wild.
Yeah.
Crazy. Do you have any advice for, moms, working moms, stay-at-home moms who are saying, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to start my own business. I have this great idea, but I'm scared. What advice would you have for them?
I say life is freaking short. Do it anyway, and nothing is a failure unless you choose to see it as a failure, and go with your heart and lead with your heart at all times.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Lynn Luu can be found on Instagram at the.ambitious.rebel. Love the name, by the way.
Thank
It's
you.
awesome. She is the person to talk to if you want to shift your mindset, especially when it comes to money, entrepreneurship, being a working mom. You're an inspiration, and I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for reaching out and having me on your podcast.